Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something super fascinating. We're going to completely deconstruct how ancient folklore and, those deep, primal fears we all have are meticulously engineered into the modern, viral micro-horror you see on your feed. It's literally a journey from campfire myths of the past straight into the editing timelines of today. Let's get right into it. So, why does exactly 3 a.m. terrify us so deeply? Think about that universal experience of nighttime dread. Ask yourself why waking up at that exact time just feels inherently wrong. It's unsettling, right? Even when you're completely safe, tucked into your own bed, something just feels off. Well, to understand how content creators manage to scare you today, we actually have to look back at some centuries-old lore. We're talking about the witching hour and the lifting of the veil. This is that specific time frame between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., where the barrier separating our physical world from the spiritual world is supposedly at its absolute thinnest. Honestly, it's the foundation of almost all modern horror. Decoding the witching hour, folklore versus physiology. The historical divide here is just wild. On one side, you've got these intense spiritual origins. Some traditional beliefs actually hold that 3 a.m. is a deliberate mockery of the Holy Trinity, specifically mocking Christ's 3 p.m. crucifixion. There was even a Catholic edict back in 1535 that literally banned any activity at this hour. No joke. But of course, science gives us a totally different reality. At 3 a.m., our bodies are deep in REM sleep cycles, which makes us highly prone to sleep paralysis. On top of that, our geomagnetic fields actually weaken at night. Researchers believe this can directly impact the pineal gland and literally cause hallucinations. And sitting right at the center of all this is the number 3. Historically, this number is sacred across so many cultures. It usually represents completeness and balance. But in the realm of folklore and the paranormal, 3 deliberate knocks mean something entirely different. They represent a warning, a spirit demanding attention, or a threshold actively being crossed right into our world. The new digital campfire, scrolling into the abyss. As we shift from that ancient bedside folklore to the eerie glow of our phone screens, we see how forums like Reddit's Nosleep basically modernized that whole campfire feeling. They present these terrifying tales as 100% true to grounded reality. They use interactive comment sections to build up the myth, simple, super relatable premises like, a quiet neighbor, and then they sprinkle in faux evidence. There's this one famous story that literally features a dead girlfriend supposedly messaging the author on Facebook, complete with screenshots, and it's all presented to the reader as absolute, unquestionable truth. And this framing, it is incredibly effective. Just listen to this survival guide from a viral no-sleep story. Don't communicate with any neighbors who claim to come from flats 65 to 72. These flats suffered a fire in the late 80s. See what they did there? By combining those hyper-specific mundane rules with a sudden, shocking tragedy, the creator traps you in a deeply unsettling yet totally believable reality. Anatomy of micro-horror, 60 seconds of dread. Now, to condense that exact psychological terror into a fast-paced scrolling feed, creators use a highly rigid 4-step timeline. It's basically designed to hijack your brain before you even have a chance to swipe away. First, you start with a hook in the initial 3 seconds, an unsettling sound or text. Then you've got to build up for about 40 seconds where a completely familiar pattern starts to fracture. Then, boom, the turn or reveal hits at 46 seconds to expose the threat. And this is immediately followed by a cryptic lingering image right before cutting to black. They offer absolutely no explanations, just pure unresolved dread. To actually make that 60-second blueprint work, you really don't need expensive monsters or crazy CGI. You just need to exploit the uncanny valley. You make the familiar feel slightly wrong. You take an everyday environment, like, say, a college dorm room, and you just slightly twist it. It could be something as simple as a smiling face held 1 second too long, or maybe a reflection in a mirror that's moving completely independently of the person. And since budgets for these micro shorts are incredibly tight, creators rely heavily on the psychological trick of suggestion over gore. Seriously, a slowly creaking door or the sound of something heavy dragging just above your ceiling, that outshines a cheap jump scare every single time. Creators know exactly what they're doing. They know that what your own imagination supplies in the dark is far, far worse than any fake blood they could ever buy. Editing the perfect scare, manufacturing dread. Okay, let's talk about sound design, because it is absolutely the hidden anchor of this psychological manipulation. Creators use an entire arsenal of auditory weapons. We're talking free, royalty-free heartbeat sound effects, low-frequency hell factory drones, echoing male voices, or even a warped music box. Layering a slow, low-frequency heartbeat establishes instant, visceral anxiety right in your body, usually before you even consciously realize why you're scared. So, how exactly do they match that audio visually? Well, listen to this terrifying firsthand description of a sleep paralysis demon from a Reddit user. I look into my doorway and there is this shape of a human but made of darkness, like a mist or gas, undulating at unknown speeds. I mean, wow. That quote perfectly represents the exact chaotic, reality-breaking feeling these creators are trying to replicate visually on your phone screen. To simulate that kind of paranormal panic digitally, editors rely heavily on the glitch effect. By using tools like VR Digital Glitch in Premiere Pro, they keyframe the master amplitude from 100 all the way down to 0, which creates this erratic, undulating motion. Then they drop in the Ultra Key tool to strip away the background. And the result? An unsettling, glitching entity that looks exactly like that mist-like sleep paralysis demon we just talked about. It's a real game changer. But here's the thing, visuals and audio aren't quite enough for the endless scroll. You need clean, aggressive subtitles to dictate pacing and physically trap the viewer's attention. Subtitles are definitely no longer just for accessibility, they are actively weaponized to control the exact pacing of the horror narrative, and they do it using really specific caption settings in the editing software. The secret weapon here is actually the number 7. By setting the maximum character length to exactly 7 in Premiere Pro, it essentially forces the algorithm to generate fast, one-worded subtitles. These words aggressively pop up on screen one right after the other, literally mimicking the rapid pacing of a racing heartbeat. It subconsciously induces panic without you even noticing. Then there is the number 90. Keeping the subtitle scale setting below 90 ensures that the text stays firmly within the platform's safe zone. And why does this matter so much? Because if the TikTok or YouTube interface overlaps the text, it instantly breaks the illusion. Staying under 90 prevents the interface from ruining your complete immersion in the terror. Mastering these design fundamentals is absolutely essential. By anchoring modern sans fonts, something clean like Montserrat, in the lower thirds of the screen and adding a simple transform opacity keyframe for a quick pop-up fade-in, the text effectively guides your eye. It keeps you locked in without distracting from the nightmare that's unfolding right in the background. So to wrap up this explainer, I want you to remember the precise formulas, timelines, and editing tricks we've completely deconstructed today. Because the next time you're scrolling alone in the dark at 3 a.m. and you suddenly hear 3 distinct knocks, ask yourself, is it just a brilliantly edited algorithm playing tricks on your mind, or did the veil just lift? Thanks for joining me, and stay curious out there.